let's talk about why the rules are in place. And in order to talk about that, we need to talk about two things: boundaries and standards. You know, what is a boundary that somebody has? When we just look at the essence of what a boundary is, a boundary means I've identified a set of behaviors and circumstances that I don't want to be a part of because they annoy me or trigger me or cause me pain or whatever, cause me a sense of discomfort. And therefore, I'm going to make it known that I'm not going to go there. So, for example, some people have a boundary that they're not going to date people who have had more than 10 sexual partners in the past. Why? Because they're uncomfortable with that. Because of their ideas around STDs or being associated with somebody who's considered a hoe or a slut or, whatever. So they set a boundary for themselves. Like, I'm never going to be with someone, or I'm never going to marry someone who's had more than 10 partners or more than 5 partners. That's a boundary. And what makes it a boundary is that they make it known. So all boundaries in life are known. You know, fences, you can see a fence. Even if you can't see it, you will see it, even if it's like an electric fence, like the doggy fences, you're still going to see it if you trip the wire or whatever. That's what a boundary is. So when people have boundaries, what they tend to do is they tend to set rules to ensure that they're not exposed to what's on the other side of that boundary. And they talk to their partner and they make an agreement, or which turns into a rule, because again, boundaries, there's usually a trigger or trauma on the other side of that boundary. And again, there's no judgment around it, it's whatever. There's usually a trigger or trauma on the other side of that boundary, and because that it's a serious trigger or trauma, one, that causes us to even establish the boundary in the first place, but two, we go out of our way to ensure that our partners know that we don't want to go there. I do not want to go there. And if you take me there, we approach there, the relationship is over. So the rule is, if you violate my boundary, if you bring that person close to me, too close to me, or you bring a financial issue too close to me, or if you bring alcoholism too close to me, or if you violate me or whatever, try to have sex with me without asking or whatever, then that boundary has been violated, and that means that I'm going to leave the relationship. So boundaries are the primary reasons that people establish rules in the first place. We're trying to avoid pain. We're trying to avoid triggers. We're trying to avoid discomfort. Standards are different. Standards are boundaries that we have. They could potentially be boundaries, but we're not expressing those to other people. Standards are designed to keep us in line. We keep the standards in our head because we have goals and things we're trying to achieve, and we're trying to keep ourselves in line and moving in a certain direction and not losing ground. I don't have to communicate to people what my standards are. I just live within my standards, or I try to do that. And again, if I've set a standard for myself, that means I tend to be working towards that. Because I have a lot of standards that I don't have to talk about. The reason why is because those things are already within me as a standard, so I never have to mention them. People might be able to identify those standards within me, but I never have to talk about them because I just live them every single day. I don't have to state them. I don't have to worry about somebody pulling me away from my standards. I just live my standards. They keep me in line so I can accomplish my goals.